Hey everyone. So, I've had a few people mention that I should vlog about my journey, and Logan's journey throughout this time, and I think that's actually a really good idea because it is very therapeutic for me to like talk things through and just like get it out. So I'm not holding on to it, right? Like it's really heavy to carry and it's really weighing me down. Everything that's going on. And it's been a lot. So I'll take you to the beginning. So I was in Australia for a conference, and it was like I texted Logan good night because it was my nighttime and it was his morning. So I said, I know you're probably already up or you're gonna be up soon. I love you. Like, have a good day. It's bedtime here. I'm about to go to sleep. That message, I have come to find out, may have actually saved his entire life. Because there's a lot of people that have strokes in the middle of the night and they never wake up from them. And granted, it was like 4 a.m. Arizona time, so he should have actually already been up and on his way to work. Or like very, very close to, being up on his way to work. But I looked at his Apple Watch and I looked at his iPhone, and it tells you kind of like when there is movement, when you pick up your phone, what times. And he woke up, he looked at his phone, and then that's when all of this happened. But he should have been already awake. So Logan usually leaves for work around 4:05. That's what he told us, 4:05 a.m. If he leaves after that, it takes him way longer. So this message that I sent to him was like 3:43, I think it was, his time. So his alarm goes off at 3 a.m. He should have been up, right? So I think it was already bleeding. This is all hypothetical. Nobody knows really what happened, right? But all the doctors were assuming that it was a slow bleed. It was already bleeding into his brain for quite some time, a day, a week, who knows. And then it just got to be too much, and that's what caused all this. So I guess my mother-in-law, she was in town to watch my daughter since I was out of town. And she woke up because she wanted to talk to him right before he left. And so she was walking down the hallway, different ends of the house, pretty far away, and she heard him screaming. And he was on the floor. I guess he had peed on himself, and he wasn't like super coherent, kind of, mumbling, but it looked like he was trying to like get somewhere. Like had tried to seem like he was crawling towards the door, probably trying to get to her or get to somebody. But he just couldn't make it because he was having a stroke, and then he had that whole like left-sided paralysis. So anyways, my mother-in-law calls me as soon as she saw this whole situation because she didn't know what had happened. She called me, and I was obviously in Australia, and it was, like 9 p.m. my time there. She calls me. My phone was on Do Not Disturb. So, like, there's just so many, like, miraculous things that have already happened at this point. One, my mother-in-law was at the right place at the right time, right? She was there. He was actually alone the 2 days prior to that. She had just flown in that day to watch Oakley. So that happened. Another thing, my phone is always on like Do Not Disturb or silent mode, but I have certain favorites saved in my phone, so my phone actually rang when she called, because anyone else, it would have not rang. So I answered the phone, talked to her, and she was telling me kind of what had happened, or like, he's on the floor, he's like not super responsive. She's like, I don't know if he like hurt his body. He was, I guess, kind of like saying something, or like pointing to like his hip and his back, like saying that he was in pain. So she just thought like maybe he broke his hip, like we were trying to figure out what was going on. And since he was, he's only 37 years old, super unresponsive, in my mind, I was like, call 911. So anyways, she got off the phone with me immediately, called 911, and during this time, I called my friend Amanda because I was like, something is seriously wrong. Someone's going to need to watch Oakley. So I called Amanda, another miracle, right? Like, my best friend Amanda, she answered the phone, and it's 4 a.m. Like, she answered the phone. I asked her if she could come to my house, because something was seriously wrong with Logan, and he needed to go to the hospital. She was like, I'll be right there. So she heads over to my house. Anyways, I guess, the paramedics come and they evaluate him. They're trying to figure out, like, is he on drugs, or, they have to do their due diligence, and we don't take any drugs. So, or, Logan doesn't even drink alcohol. So, anyways, they roll all that stuff out. They, like, they get him into the ambulance. I guess they noticed, like, right before they transported him in the ambulance, that he had a little bit of, like, facial drooping on his left side. So they were already thinking right then that he had a stroke. But obviously they didn't really know for sure. So another miracle thing that happened, they brought him to the right facility. So there's only a couple facilities in Arizona or in this area that's equipped to handle these, like, level 1 trauma neurological cases, or that has, like, a neurosurgeon on staff. They brought him. This hospital is 7 minutes from our house, so it's one of the closest hospitals, but the right hospital. So they brought him here, and he had a hemorrhagic stroke to the I'm trying to think, my brain is all scattered right now, the right temporal lobe, close to the MCA, so that artery right there, and it had already, like, gone into both of the lateral ventricles. The size of the bleed was, like, literally, like, this big, like, in his brain. They said it was a severe, massive stroke that he was having. This type of stroke, you don't have to have, I think it's called TPA. It's been a while since I've done a neuro rotation, but TPA is for more of, like, the ischemic type of strokes, which is way more common than a hemorrhagic stroke. So anyways, they get him here, they're evaluating him, and they called me, kind of looped me in on what was going on, and the doctor said, we might do an operation, like, we're gonna have to, like, figure out what road we want to take, or what path we want to take. And I asked them, because they didn't know the size of the bleed at that point. And I was like, do I need to get on a plane? And, like, right this second, they said yes. And I was like, I will be right there, like, as soon as possible. And by right there, it was, 10, 11, maybe 12, maybe midnight my time in Australia at this point. The earliest flight that left Australia was 10:30 a.m. So there was, like, 10 and a half hours I had to sit there just thinking about my poor husband and everything that could potentially go wrong. Like, when you're not there and not able to see, it's like you also make up all these scenarios, right? I'm thinking, like, worst case scenario of every single thing. I'm thinking I'm about to lose my husband, and Oakley's about to lose her dad, just so many emotions at that moment. So many emotions. But I knew it was very, very serious. So, and then they finally got the neurosurgeon to come in that was on call, and they said that they're going to do an emergency craniotomy. They said they were going to make some small holes and, be able to drain it. And now I found out they had to make way larger, take a way larger area off than anticipated, because the size of the bleed was so massive. And they actually called him Lucky Logan, because they said he's lucky to be alive. He could have literally died in his sleep. He could literally be gone right now. Sorry, I'm trying to get it together to tell this. Anyways, God had a hand in this. There's no doubt about that. Because Logan I even wanted him to go to Australia with me. He was supposed to be there with me, and he told me that he didn't want to go to Australia because he had already been there. So he stayed home. And, I just keep thinking, what if this happened on the plane on the way to Australia? Like, what if we were in a foreign country? Like, obviously Australia isn't, like, a third world country, but it's still, like, if it had happened there, then he wouldn't be able to see his daughter if she wasn't, there's so many scenarios. Right place, right time. That text message. Yeah, looking at his phone, like, he literally picked up that message. He read that message. I don't know if he read it while he was on the ground, on his watch, or if he read it in bed, and that's what got him up. But at, like, there was 4 minutes difference. That message that I sent, and then there was it also tracks how much sound you hear, like, in the environment, the loudness. And I guess he started screaming 4 minutes after I sent that text message. 4 minutes. So I'm really hoping that it was just a few minutes, and his mom called me 15 minutes later. So he was probably only down, hopefully, for like 20 minutes in the situation, which makes me feel so much better, because both his mom and I were thinking, like, how long was he by himself? Like, I was beating myself up thinking I should be there, like, for him. If I was there, if I was in bed next to him, I would have caught this right away. Like, there would have been no delay at all. And I'm just beating myself up thinking I should not have gone to Australia. I shouldn't have gone to this conference. So looking at his watch, looking at his watch and his phone really did, like, help ease my mind. Because I think it was only a few minutes. Anyways, that was Monday. It's Friday now. We're in the ICU. He's been having a lot of complications. He's had lots of fevers. He has a fever right now. It's way more low grade than it was a couple hours ago, but he keeps spiking fevers. His blood pressure is out of control. He should have been on blood pressure medication. But if anybody knows my husband, he hates doctors. He hates going to get things checked out. The last time he went to a doctor, literally, it was because we were doing, like, fertility stuff to try to have, a child. And that was 2 years ago now, and that's the last time he went to the doctor. I literally had just had a conversation with him the weekend prior to this, and I told him that he needs to get a wellness check, and he needed, like, we're getting older, and we have our daughter to think of. It's not just about us. We need to make sure we're taking care of ourselves. And he finally agreed to it after he doesn't have a GP here. I have a GP here because I go every year, for preventative stuff, or, like, as needed, every 6 months sometimes. We've been together for 12 years, and Logan has never been to the doctor in 12 years. So he finally just agreed to go to the doctor. But yeah, he probably should have been on blood pressure meds all along.